Hello everybody, good evening, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United transfer news and chat as Marcus Rashford sends out a strong message in reaction to having his number 10 shirt taken away from him. Also, is there a new striker on Amorim's striker list? We'll talk about that, and it could be coming in from Italy again. Also, we've got a couple of interesting stories around a goalkeeper and a potential left back. If what Ben Jacobs said a couple of weeks ago is correct, well, Brighton have just bought a new left back. Does that open up the door for Manchester United? And what's going on with Mbeumo? What is going on and why is it taking so long? We'll delve into that as well. Plus, it's Saturday night and the 8 o'clock shows this week have been brilliantly driven by you. So I'm going to open that door again as soon as possible and say, you run the show because you've been doing such a good job this week. So we're open for your topics as well after we've got through the news. Talking of which, we are sponsored by Manscaped tonight and it's back to 20% off. It's been 15% off recently. It's back to 20% off. I don't even know why, but it is 20% off with the code TUS20 and you still get free worldwide delivery. What is Manscaped? Well, look, I'm clean shaven today. Look at that. I'm clean shaven today because I use the Handyman. I don't normally use the Handyman, but this is brilliant. It's a pocket rocket. I was clean shaven in no time. Don't normally do it. Felt like a change. Did it. I was just feeling like that way. Just felt sexy. Also, you've got the beard trimmer, which I normally use with 20 different lengths. You have got the weed whacker for up the nose. At a certain age, you won't laugh, you'll be doing it too. At a certain age, you'll be using it in your ears. I'm not there yet. And you've got the absolute star striker that Man United haven't got at the moment. The lawnmower. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger downstairs. Absolutely incredible. Delivered to your door for free with the code TUS20 and trusted by millions of men worldwide. You can get 20% off with the code TUS20. Check it out. Fantastic products. I've been using them for years and I will keep using them as well. Absolutely fantastic. Why did the Club World Cup matches don't start on time? Who cares? This is the United Stand. So yeah, big shout out to Manscaped. Check it out through the link in the description. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. Fantastic products. You'll love them. 20% off exclusively with the code TUS20. Okay, let's get into the news and then we can get into the show as well. Good luck to the England women's team tonight as well. They're playing France. I think they're kicking off now. That's not a promotion. I've not been paid to do that. I'm genuinely saying that. I don't know why people think I wouldn't, but there you go. Okay, let's start off talking about what the topical stuff is, and then we can get into some of the stuff you want to talk about. I really want to talk about the Mbeumo deal. I know it's really boring, but I've got a new slant on it. Why it's taken so long, what's actually happening with that one. The striker thing is interesting as well, goalkeeper too. But let's start off with Marcus Rashford. Bit of a setback, actually. Bit of a setback. You know, we were talking about this morning how it was looking quite good for him. Well, maybe not looking good for him, potentially, because in response to, I mean, I don't know the full details on this one. I will say straight away, there's a few aspects to this which are genuine quotes from him, a little bit of speculation, which I just want to say as a before we get into it, just get the words out, Goldbridge, get the words out. But look, this is coming in from Spanish reports. I actually read it on the Manchester Evening News, so I'll give them a shout out. Effectively, obviously there's been some links with Manchester United, Marcus Rashford, and, well, actually we should call him England international Marcus Rashford, because what he has done in response, before I read this article out, what he has done in response to having the number 10 shirt taken away from him is he's posted a new picture of him carrying a weight. I don't know whether that's just him showing off carrying a weight or whatever, but he's got a new profile picture with his top off carrying a weight. It could be, maybe he's saying, you know what I think he's doing? He's in for a long wait. He's in for a big wait. Sorry. I think surely Rashford's not that smart, but he stood there with his top off carrying a big weight. So is he saying, you're in for a big wait? If you're a clever footballer, it really does work. But you could read, he's ready to go to work because he's carrying a big weight. I don't know. Anyway, I've slipped away from where I wanted to go there. Done a slippy G. He's put a new profile picture up, which then makes you look at his profile, which I think is deliberate, because in his profile it now just says England international footballer, which is a bit presumptuous because you might not get picked for the squad in September, but it doesn't say Manchester United. So I don't know whether it said Manchester United before, but he's removed, there is no Manchester United on there. So is that his reaction to having the number 10 shirt removed from him? I don't really care about that, you know. I actually genuinely do not care. I'm not going to pretend to be a hypocrite and go, I think it's disgusting that he doesn't say Manchester United in his bio when we're paying his wages. I get that some people might, but I actually just don't care. I really, really don't. The only thing I would say is he did do an interview in December, and I'll read it out, the key quotes. He said, if I know the situation is already bad, I'm not going to make it worse. Yeah. I've seen how other players have left, yeah, in the past, and I don't want to be that person. When I leave, I will make a statement, and it will be from me. When I leave, it's going to be no hard feelings. You're not going to have any negative comments from me about Manchester United. That's me as a person. And that's a guarantee. That bit was extra. I'm ready for a new challenge and the next step. So, look, he said himself in December, no negative comments, and I'm not going to make things worse. So, you know, I don't think he will make things worse, really. Although look, I don't really care. Honestly, I genuinely don't care. I wish him all the best in finding a new club, and I hope he does really, really well. And if he gets motivated by trying to prove United or certain United fans wrong, then I'm really pleased that he's found a motivation. Really, really am. So I don't really care. I really don't give a shit about him removing Man United from his bio. He probably feels that he's probably got some hard feelings. I don't know. But what I do care about is this story. So this is coming in from Spain, and it says this. Marcus Rashford really sees himself as a man, putting himself out there as a Barcelona player. But his name, however, is not said to be on La Liga. Get the fucking words out. His name, I might just not do the show tonight. My mouth's not working. His name, however, is not said to be on the La Liga's club's agenda. Claims the chances of Rashford signing for Barcelona are slim, with the player's desire to join described as more of a wish than a reality. The club's head coach Hansi Flick and sporting director Deco do not consider him a priority. They are said to want a forward with more versatility and willing to sacrifice themselves for the team, while being used to having leadership responsibilities and having the requisite experience to help their younger players. So, I mean, look, that's quite damning. Basically, it says it's more Rashford's side. It's more of a wish than a reality. The chances of going to Barcelona are slim. The manager and Deco want somebody with more versatility who's willing to work hard for the team whilst having leadership responsibilities and experience to help younger players. Which, in fairness, Rashford doesn't have much leadership skills based on Manchester United. And he has obviously had question marks about his work rate at Manchester United. Is he a versatile forward? I think he's a left winger, not a forward. Is it more of a wish than a reality? Look, that's quite a damning article. But it's written. See, Goldbridge has gone and done a bit of detective work here, because it's in the Manchester Evening News and it's from Spanish sources. So the Spanish source is AS. Now, I'm not going to say it should be BS. If you know, you know. But AS is a Spanish outlet we've mentioned many times over the years on the United Stand, involving Morata and any other player that we get linked to from Spain. Sport and AS are two established Spanish outlets. I would say both of them are tier 3, unreliable. So I wouldn't be getting too concerned about that if I was Marcus Rashford. It doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to happen. It's not the best of sources. We'll have to just wait and see. What I do think is credible is what Fabrizio Romano has been saying, is that Barcelona are probably going to have really good go at Diaz of Liverpool, because I think their priorities were Nico Williams, Diaz as their top two. So I think they'll try for that. Obviously, Liverpool's situation is horrific. What's happened in the last few days, I think it would stun me if Liverpool were to sell a player. And it would stun me if a Liverpool player actually started forcing a move at a time like this as well. So I don't think that's happening. So if they're not getting Diaz and they're not getting Nico Williams, surely Rashford's back on the agenda. So look, at the end of the day, let's hope he can just get a move. Any more setbacks? We'll be replaying the Europa, says Andy. Training starts on Monday. No player sold, no Mbeumo, no striker, and still Onana as a goalkeeper. Ineos as useless as Apollo tyres. They're the same as Glazers, says Mario Franco. Rashford can't go Villa now they've been fined by UEFA. By the same notion, does that mean Martinez and Watkins are easier and cheaper to sign, says Acid23. Rashford Piers Morgan interview incoming, says Yanni. Yeah, sadly, I think that will happen at some point. I mean, the guy's got a huge social media brand. Like, I'm pretty sure that you know, whatever happens, that will, you know, happen. Hi Mark, not necessarily Piers Morgan, but he's always going to be in the public eye, which is I think part of the reason why we just need to part ways and let him move on. I mean, I don't think anybody gives a shit if they want to go and talk about Manchester United. SNS says, I feel Rashford will go to Bayern. Hi Mark, I think the World Cup is the ace up our sleeve with these children. No pre-season will likely destroy all of their chances, says Carl. Weight lifted off his shoulders, says B16, could be. It wasn't off his shoulders though, it was there. Can we get some prayers for the departed and missing in Texas tragedy? I don't want to sound ignorant, Angry Jawa, but I'm not aware of this. So obviously prayers and for everything going on there, but I don't actually know what you're talking about. Very ignorant of me, but I don't know. You haven't done Jim White in a while. Can you give the people what they want, please? Says Tom. What, Simon? Let him speak, Simon. Slow Sports News, yellow tie. It's insane how greedy these players are, says NH23. Rashford and Sancho are multimillionaires who could retire tomorrow and never worry about bills. The haggling over their wages is disgraceful. Thank you very much. And how long before Mbeumo gets pissed off and just opts for the next best thing? He would like a move this summer. Could situation at Arsenal put off Gyökeres, says Liam Potter. What situation at Arsenal? And Nick P says, Pure Jim in Lewisham are looking for more personal trainers. Rashi's got the CV. Forget Barcelona. And Rory C says, can you give us a prediction? Where do Rashford, Garnacho and Sancho play for next season? I think Sancho will be in Italy, and I'll say Juventus. I think Garnacho will be at Chelsea. I've got a feeling that Madueke going to Arsenal. If it's not... Look, I think Napoli's the best place for him to go, and I think that was the place he was going to go. But he seems to be another player that's... I think some of these players are going to mess themselves up when they leave Man United, being obsessed with Manchester United. And I think they're going to go to their new club trying to prove Man United wrong. And that's no way to live your life. You know, if you break up with somebody and you get into a new relationship and you're constantly posting stuff to try and get at your ex... you've not broken up. You're not living your life. And I feel like with Garnacho, he wants to stay in the Premier League to try and prove Amorim wrong. Because you know what's happened? They've been so spoilt at this football club. Somebody's come in and actually given them some discipline and they don't like it. Oh, you don't treat me like that. So where's my Villa shirt? You know, and I think that his best move is actually Napoli. He might miss out on Chelsea though. Chelsea might go for Kudus. And, you know, so I don't know where they're going to end up, Rory, to be honest with you. I'm not convinced Rashford's going to end up at Barcelona as much as I hope he does. Jose says, why not trigger Dumfries' 25 million clause valid for one more week? Sell Delo. Right, Jose, I'll tell you why. If you want an honest answer, you did ask. Amorim loves Delo, and for the same reason he didn't sell Bruno, he won't sell Delo, he loves him. And where are you going to get £25 million from for a player that actually isn't on our list when we're trying to buy other people as well? So let me talk to you about Mbeumo, because that fits in perfectly. Lots and lots of people talk about Mbeumo on an hourly basis. It's close. It's closer than close. It's closer than you can ever imagine. It's close. Well, I couldn't give a toss how close it is because we've been down this road so many times about close. But I think that it's 5 weeks since Ornstein sort of said, Man United and Mbeumo. But what people forget is that wasn't out of the blue. There had been Mbeumo links for 2 weeks before that. So really, it's about 7 weeks. And across that 5 weeks, we've had a 45 plus 10 bid rejected. And we've had a 55 plus 7.5 bid rejected. And when I say plus, I'm saying it was a £45 million bid with 10 in add-ons. And it was a 55 million bid with 7.5 in add-ons. Some morons in the media keep reporting that we've had a £55 million bid rejected and a £62.5 million bid rejected because they don't understand what add-ons are. Add-ons may never get paid. So you always take the base. So Brentford have rejected 45 and 55 effectively, unless they want to tell us what the add-ons were, which they never will. So why over 5 weeks have we only put 2 bids in? And why going into week 6 is he still not a Manchester United player? And the reality is, it's because we don't know what we're doing and we're panicking and we're incompetent. Because when this deal gets done, you are going to fall off your chair at the difference between the rejected bid and the new bid. Because this is literally going to be pennies. This is literally going to be about £5 million. And that is incredible. And the reality is, the reason it's taking so long is because we've got incompetent people within running the football club who for £5 million will stretch it out for 6 weeks. And that's basically what we've got. And people will say, well, the bid for 55 only went in a couple of weeks ago. Brentford were asking for 60 at the start of June. 45 plus 10 was a joke. That bid was just a waste of fucking energy. A tree died for that email. You know, absolute waste. The only bid that's really mattered was the 55 plus 7.5. That should have been the first bid. And then the second bid should be 60. And it would have been done 3 or 4 weeks ago. So that's where we are with this. When Man United pull their finger out their arse and offer the 60, it will be done. And there is no justification for what we've done over the last 5 weeks. Absolutely nobody can justify it. And nobody has tried. There is no strategy or logic to what we've done with this Mbeumo deal at all. And I think Amorim will be furious. I think most of you are furious. And I think Brian Mbeumo will be furious because they'll be going, we're basically haggling at a price that they said weeks ago that is a fair price. And that's where we are with that. We should sign Nuzza, Norway's largest talent now. Don't know if he fits, but I want him, says Stig. Yeah, we're not linked to him, mate. I'm sorry to say. What has actually changed under this best-in-class board? Have they all become stupid overnight? Clearly, the Glazers still have some sort of impact, says Matty. Clearly, the Glazers run the football club, mate. It's as simple as that. I don't think that anybody is able to do that. Oh, God, I feel sorry for you lot. Look, can I just say, the Richard Rios story, if you've fallen for it, is not from anybody credible and is literally a way to grow your account. If you link Man United to Richard Rios and say that we're in talks with him, it's just a great way to pick up some followers in a transfer window, because we're not. We're not in for him. We're not negotiating with him. We're not looking at him. We're just simply not. So for anybody saying, have you heard about these talks? I won't have heard of it because the accounts and people that I get information from are not talking about that because we're not in for him. Okay? One interesting story I think is interesting from Brazil, though, is Botafogo goalkeeper John Victor. We have been linked to him a little bit. He has been on United's radar since January, apparently. Everton are now looking at him as well. I mean, I don't know whether he's a solution for Manchester United. This was just something I read this afternoon. But the goal... I mean, this is why I want you to lead the show, really, because the goalkeeping situation just depresses me so much, really. It's such an essential position. And I know for a fact that Amorim wants an Arna out. And I know Wilcox does as well. But they can't get him out because the club are useless. I mean, look, we're taking 5 weeks on Mbeumo. How do you think they're going to get a goalkeeper out that won't move? The ironic thing about Onana is if he made half the effort he does in protecting his number 1 shirt in the summer than he did in the season, we'd be okay. Like, he's blocked more moves than he does goals. It's incredible. But look, I don't even like talking about the goalkeeper situation, but you know, a little bit of news there. Another bit of news as well, just very, very quickly. I'm just going to summarise it and get into your stuff. So, Brighton have bought a left back, a Belgian left back. Interesting. Caught my eye today because remember Ben Jacobs a few weeks ago said Estupiñán, watch out for him for Man United. I've heard nobody else mention this. So just throwing it into there that Brighton have bought a left back today. So does that mean that Estupiñán thing could happen? I don't know where the money comes from for that, by the way. But it'd be interesting if we did go for him. Also, Jonathan David going to Juventus as a striker. Vlahović with 1 year left on his contract. Apparently Juventus will let him go for 35 million. Would Manchester United steer towards Vlahović? And technically, what option? The real question is, if United go for Vlahović, what option is he? What letter would you give it? Because Delap is plan A, Gyökeres is plan B, I think Ekitike was plan C, Watkins has got to be one of them, plan D. You'd assume Osimhen was in there at some point. I mean, yeah, I mean, this starts to worry me when you're starting to talk about players like this. Ivan Toney, Gyökeres. You're getting into plan E, F and G here. And this is just not acceptable. And I will call it out, and I think a lot of people will. Maybe these players would come in and score goals, but maybe is the word, isn't it? You cannot, in a first summer transfer window, be delivering the most important position of that transfer window as a plan E, F or G. It becomes Vlahović, not Gyökeres. I've been watching the tennis. It becomes desperate, exactly as Brutos says, and I think that's an important thing to say. Some of you are a fan of Vlahović, but he's not been on our radar, and if this becomes the plan, it's a bad plan. And I think there are always 3 aspects to a transfer window. Who you buy, when you buy, and what position they were on your list at the start of the transfer window. Because if you buy Delap in May, and he was option A, whether fans like it or not, you've delivered on all 3. Early, plan A, and I can't remember what the other thing was. Anyway, but my point is, we could be heading into some of these strikers where they're a late signing and they're way down the list on priority. Nick P says, on another note, if you're in your 40s and feel a bit over the hill, watch Liam Gallagher last night, roll back the years. Raspy voice in full flow, says Nick P. Lovely stuff. Killen says, if Vlahović joins, Ineos somehow comes up with a statement that he was their main target all along. Yeah, absolute bollocks, Killen, as you know. Edward V says, would lower valued players from competitive leagues be better at this point to get in 5+ in this summer? Would lower valued players from competitive leagues be better? No, because I mean that's just literally what I was talking about there. I mean that you are literally just explaining desperation FC. We finished 15th, mate. We're miles off the top 4. They're buying good players, first choice players. How are we getting back desperately signing what we can? Like, I'm going to still keep repeating it. I'm still lost on the words that Barada said. We've been planning this transfer window for ages. Yeah. Mike JW. Anyway, get your comments in. It's going to be your show now. Mike JW says, let's get this right. We have signed Cunha and still have the same shite we had last year. Still run by the clowns. So much for pre-season. Darren Mulaney says, why did the Ineos last season's summer transfer window go more quickly and smoothly than this window, says Darren. Why did last season... let me just... So you're saying, why did last summer's transfer window go more quickly and smoothly than this window? It didn't. It didn't. It's just because it happened you think it went better. It didn't. It definitely didn't. I will list you them out here. So, here it is. This time last year, on the 5th of July, we had... Oh, that's not the page I want to go. Bear with me. Well, look, while I'm doing that, we didn't sign... we definitely didn't sign De Ligt and Mazraoui until... Here we go, I've got it now. So this time last year, we're in a worse position. We'd not sold anybody. Greenwood didn't go till the 18th of July. Camboire went on the 16th of July. Wan-Bissaka went on the 13th of August. McTominay went on the 30th of August. We didn't sign Xerxes officially till the 14th of July. De Ligt and Mazraoui came on the 13th of August. Agate came in on the 30th of August. So maybe... Had Yoro happened at this point? Maybe Yoro had happened at this point. I don't know. But yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, Darren. We weren't in a better position this year, like this time last year at all. Yeah, we were slow last year as well. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. We finished 15th last year, so you can't say that. Well, last summer's transfer window was not good. We sacked our manager within 2 months. We finished 15th. We're not in Europe. Most of those players weren't ready for the start of the season. And yet, you're right. It feels like last season was more organised than this year, because at this point last season, we'd already been linked to De Ligt, we'd already been linked to Mazraoui, we'd already been linked to Agate, and we'd basically nearly got Yoro and Xerxes. So this time last year, we hadn't actually bought anybody or sold anybody, but we knew at this point that we were concrete on Yoro, Xerxes, De Ligt, Mazraoui, and Agate. So we're in a much worse position than last year, even though at this time last year we hadn't bought or sold anybody either. We did know the players we were looking at. So it's actually worse than last year, you're right. I just wanted to sort of give it a bit of context. Great question. Emily Derry's in the house. Robert's notable by his absence. Do we really expect any different when we have bean counters running the show and the Glazers slowing everything down? Thank you, Emily. We should start. I've done that one from Stig as well. Z3 Music Official says, I'm glad to see Amorim force the club's hand on some of these players. I can guarantee you that they were expecting to bring them back and make him deal with it. Maybe now he can force them to buy, says Z3 Music Official. Look, I genuinely think Rashford unfairly gets mentioned. There's 5 of them. So I am going to use Rashford, but I'm going to use it in a nice way to try and make people understand the situation. Look at Rashford's reaction today. New profile picture, ready to go to work, whatever it means. I'm in for a big weight, whatever. I don't know what it means. But I think what it means is I'm Marcus Rashford. I'm putting a post out in front of millions of people. I'll trend a little bit. People will have Rashford in their head. Why is he doing that? Because he needs a move. He desperately needs a move. And by being told you're not going to be part of the pre-season, I suspect there'll be a bit of panic in these players' minds now because they were in charge. I'm leaving when the price is right. I'm leaving when the right offer is on the table. And suddenly it's really bad because you go into training on Monday you get the pre-season. It doesn't really matter if you don't move till the end of August because you've had the pre-season. You're now sat there going, where's my bloody pre-season? I need a pre-season. I need a pre-season somewhere and I need it quick. So I think it's a smart move by Manchester United because effectively, if you don't want those players part of your pre-season, then you've got to say no. And I think somebody said it earlier on and they're absolutely spot on. The World Cup is a big thing because let's talk about Garnacho. If Garnacho is not going to be there for pre-season, where's he going to get his pre-season in? And if he doesn't have a pre-season, how can he play for anybody? And if he doesn't play for anybody in August, how do you get called up for Argentina in September? And then if you don't play bloody brilliantly after that international break, how are you going to get yourself in for October? So it's going to be the World Cup in no time. And you've got to be in the international squad. And the pre-season's really important. So I think, look, Amorim doesn't want them there. I don't think Amorim's thinking about the World Cup. Amorim doesn't want them there. But it does also sort of lay the gauntlet down to these players. How ambitious are you? And I think that some of these players are mightily pissed off because they don't get the pre-season that they thought they were going to get. But why should Amorim provide it? Why should he provide it? I don't think he should. Jackie Boy says, the only signings we did in July was Xerxes on the 14th and Yoro on the 18th. Technically, we've done better this year since we brought Cunha in. Yeah, I always forget about Cunha. Obviously, we've got Cunha in, so technically we're better, but in reality, we're worse because, as I said, Jackie, it was a great question that was asked, but there is context to it. And that context is, by July the 5th last year, I'm absolutely certain that we knew we wanted Ugarte, De Ligt, Mazraoui, and obviously Yoro and Xerxes weren't far off. So we knew what 5 players we were going for. I think we were also linked to Xavi Simons at that time, which turned out not to be true. And I'm pretty sure we'd bid on Branthwaite as well. So this time last year, we knew we were in for 6 or 7 players. Tell me who we're in for now. Mbeumo, that's it. I don't actually know. Gyökeres, I think we're hoping on. But, yeah. Technically, we are better because we bought Cunha. But in many ways, we're worse because I don't know who we're looking at. What are your thoughts about managers and players being interviewed at half-time? Think it's a disgrace myself, says Dean. I think football reminds me of some workplaces I've worked at before, where everything works okay, but there's always a prat there that's looking for promotion, so they come up with a project to change things that were working okay all right already. And I think some of these changes are that. I watched the PSG game against Bayern tonight. It kicked off at 5 o'clock and it didn't finish till about 7:15. There wasn't extra time. The second half didn't kick off till about 6:10 because you've got walkouts. They're always looking to change things, aren't they? And actually, the Premier League should try and fix some of the things that are wrong with the game before they try and add new things in. So we're going to add all this stuff and we're not changed refereeing yet. Would Ineos back Amorim if he gets mid-table? Progress from last season and they should know getting top 4 is probably the hardest since Sir Alex left, says Edward V. This is a good question, but it's one that I can't answer and I don't think anybody else can answer at the moment. I don't think that you can set any guidelines or parameters on what Amorim needs to achieve at the moment because we don't actually know. Look, if the season started tomorrow, I would say to you right here, right now, right here, right now, what a tune. I would say to you right here that if the season started tomorrow and this was it, I would say you can't sack Amorim if we finish 12th. Because I don't think this team is good enough to get top 10 at the moment. So it's all about, this is what I mean. The pre-season and the transfer window dictates what your aspirations are for next season. We can't start the season at the moment and say we want European football. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So it's very difficult to predict what Amorim has to do next season. But I would agree, mid-table with this squad shouldn't be a sackable offence. Although every game we lose, you're going to get Amorim out. Daryl Street says, do you think the club is haggling over a few £1 million for Mbeumo because the club is even more broke than we were led to believe? I mean, I don't know, Daryl, and I don't want to make excuses because as much as that could be a reason, remember, we've been told that we've been planning this summer transfer window for ages. And surely this fan base is respected and intelligent enough that if we haven't got any money, the club should just bloody tell us that. What's the advantage in not telling us that? Shirt sales, I suppose. If you tell everybody we've got no money, they might not buy the kit. I don't know. The delay in selling was all down to the players. They don't want to sort that out while they're on holidays. They want to do it on work time, which is pre-season, says Rory C. Yeah, I think this is a good point, Rory. I've seen a lot of players move in June. And it seems to me... So who sings that? Seems to me you live your life like a candle in the wind. Well, it's Elton John. He doesn't sing like that. He sings like this. He just makes noises now, doesn't he, Elton John? Oh, anyway, I won't do that. Going back to what Rory C was saying. I'll just do it on my own after the show ends. I actually quite enjoy doing Elton John singing now. He's about 90. Going back to what Rory C was saying, I think it's a very valid point. And essentially, for some reason, Rory, and I don't quite get it, if I was an ambitious footballer who knew I had to leave Manchester United, while I was on holiday, I would be sending WhatsApps and checking my emails. It's a long day on holiday. You can play with your kids in the pool. Don't play with anyone else's kids. You can, you can rub a bit of suntan lotion into your wife if she wants. Make sure she wants it. You can have a pint at the bar. You can play a bit of table tennis. But you've got plenty of time to be sending a WhatsApp to your agent. And it just feels like, certain players have prioritised Instagram pictures in rival shirts and interviews about other clubs rather than actually... I mean, at least Rashford was out in Spain. Peter Odemwingie style. Sat outside the Nou Camp trying to get, it's me. But I feel like some of the other players have just they don't seem... I mean, look, I suppose... Break it down. What's Garnacho doing? That's the one I don't get. 100% leaving Man United at the start of June. Doesn't seem to have prioritised anything. Doesn't seem to be any concrete links around Garnacho at all, other than I want to stay in the Premier League. Now, he is 20 years of age, so he's probably quite inexperienced, but surely his agent isn't. It's almost as if Garnacho's like, well, I want to play in the Premier League, so where is it? There doesn't seem to be much work being done from Garnacho's side to actually get a move. Rashford obviously wants Barcelona and nobody else. Anthony wants Betis, and it's difficult for Betis. So I think those three explain themselves. Malacia wants anybody. I mean, he's probably just desperate for anything. And Sancho, God knows. So, yeah, I think I would have expected a little bit more on some of them to be actively trying to find a club. But what we also have to remember is, Rory, is that there is a domino effect. And when Arsenal decide what striker they want, I think the striker market will kick off. And some clubs will be waiting for the scraps. Unfortunately, the Barcelonas and the Arsenals and the Liverpools of the world and the Real Madrids, they get first dibs. And when they've done their bit, sometimes if you're a Atletico Madrid or a Aston Villa or a Newcastle, you have to wait for the others to go before you get yours. So maybe that's what's happening. I don't know. I personally think, on Garnacho, I'm absolutely stunned. I was talking about this on That's Football. I'm absolutely stunned that Arsenal are going for Madueke. I mean, what is it about Chelsea that they must just have to stay quiet and keep a straight face? Can we do the negotiations for Madueke really quick? Why? I'm trying not to laugh. You want to give us... You want to give us money for Madueke? Don't tell them what we're going to do with that money. Keeping a straight face. Yeah, we'll take it. I mean, Madueke's okay, but they're going to replace Madueke with Garnacho or Kudus, who are better. So Arsenal are going to fund a replacement for Chelsea that's going to be better. Just like they did with Havertz. Just like we did with Mount. It's almost like certain clubs don't realise Chelsea have been doing this for years and it always works out for them. So, look, if Chelsea sell Madueke, I think Garnacho might get that move there. But they might go for Kudus instead, in which case, I don't know where Garnacho goes. I really don't know where he goes. I think there's interest from other clubs. Spurs haven't done anything yet either, have they? I'm sure it'll all start kicking off at some point. I think Mbeumo will happen next week. That's my feeling. But only signings we did in July. I've done that one from Jackie Boy, and what a good question it was. I wonder when they're going to announce Harry Maguire as the new strikers as Monoxide. Thank you very much for your super chat there. I'm sure there was one from Smoggy. Here it is. Elton John slowly turning into Cartman. Yeah, he is. Yeah, bloody right. That's exactly what I was talking about. That's exactly what I was talking about. Smoggy did another one. Who is on your Mount Rushmore of bad pundits, and why is a Gabby Agbolahor top pick? Go on, it's a Saturday. I don't know. I try not to be like that anymore, you know. I really do try not to be like that anymore because I feel it's boxing down. We've built such a great community. We have such good conversations. And as much as I bite on rage bait, I'm trying my best not to do that anymore. I don't watch that shit. I don't listen to that shit. My life's better for it. I know what it is. I used to do it on a Saturday night. It's scripted, deliberate bullshit to entice you in. And therefore, I'm not about to put people on the Mount Rushmore of bad pundits when they're just doing what they're told. Talk shit thrives on winding Man United fans up and Liverpool fans because we're two of the biggest earners for them in relation to listening in, calling in, putting comments in. So I'm not. I'm sure I'll get dragged in the season when they start having a pop at Amorim and stuff, but maybe I'm a little bit more forgiving in the summer transfer window. But yeah, I mean, you know who the bad pundits are. You know who the Mount Rushmore of bad pundits are. It's basically the vast majority of the mainstream. They're bloody awful. Tim Sherwood's terrible. Danny Murphy, terrible. Who else? Those two are really bad. Yeah. I wouldn't say Neville and Carragher are on the Mount Rushmore of banned pundits. I mean, they have their moments, but Smoggy says you've changed. I've given you two. Dylan says, what about Eni Aluko? She was on the bloody telly again. I don't know why they put her on. I don't know. I mean, Genus how's he got back? Absolute pillock he is. He's definitely there. I need one more then. I've got Sherwood, Danny Murphy, and Genus. I could go for a little bit of diversity and put Eni Aluko on there. I think that would be a good one. I like Souness. I've always liked Souness. I know he doesn't like Man United, but actually, when you move past that, Souness is all right. I've always quite liked him. Chris Sutton, I find okay. To be honest, if I've got to be honest, right, being as it's Mount Rushmore in America, I love our American audience. I think you're very, 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 very passionate and have very, very good opinions and can really get into debates. And, you know, that's always been the case. But your punditry is terrible. It's absolutely, you know, you should be complaining about it. It's bad in the UK, but what you get over there that passes off as credible is disgusting. It's really bad. Steve Nicol, oh my God. Shaka Hislop, oh my God. Craig Burley, oh my God. Robbie Savage, oh, they're all rubbish. They're absolutely rubbish. Rio's not that good either. Rio's a YouTuber though. He's not really a pundit. He's a YouTuber. The Scouse Girl on Sky Sports with Stephen Warnock. Yeah, I know who you mean. I don't know her name, United Star. If Sir Jim Radcliffe bought 500,000 shirts at £90, it generates 40 million using Chelsea rules, says the Green Team. Don't bloody tell Chelsea another loophole Bowley will be doing that now. I mean, you've probably just uncovered a loophole there. I mean, I don't know how that works though, because does that money? No, that's not how shirt sales work. That would go to the. If you bought for 500,000 Man United shirts and it costs 40 million quid, it goes to Adidas. But there must be a way. There must be merch that Man United own. So how's about going online and buying 500,000 Amorim hoodies? The trouble is our club won't do it because they don't want to spend, but we've probably just helped Newcastle, Chelsea and Villa and Man City out, who actually want to get money into their club. Robert McCormack says Amorim has to deliver after these calls. No, I disagree with you, Robert. What you're basically saying is that because Amorim's told these players to go, he has to deliver. Well, it's only half of the story. He's told these players to go. The club have to give him the replacements, and they've got to be plan A, B replacements, haven't they? So that's the second part to the story. Where I do agree with Robert, though, and I have said this before, I'm not going to be Amorim out. You won't get me on that one, but I think the Bruno call's a big call, and I'm not going to move on it. I've said it. We'll leave it there for now. But I absolutely, I think the Bruno call is a big one, definitely on that one. Yeah, because that's his call, and that's 100 million quid, and that's a new goalkeeper. And I've told you before, and I'll say it again. I'm getting very emotional now. I will not bury another Batman. I will not bury another Batman. And I'm getting very emotional now. You know, my name is Michael Caine. I will not bury it. I will not go through another season with an Nana in goal. I will not go through another season with a Nana in goal. All right? But if we took the £100 million from Bruno, you could buy your goalkeeper, and Nana can come back and he's going to go, what's he doing here? And I'll go, he's your replacement. You're training with the reserves. And within weeks, he'll be gone. And I'd also have a striker in by now. And people will say, but you lose your captain and you lose your midfielder. You do lose your captain. Let's see how much that hurts us, because a lot of people say he's not a very good captain. So it's funny how he's an amazing captain now, just because we could have sold him. But you lose your captain and you lose your best player. But you've got Cunha and Mbeumo who play in the number 10 roles. You've also got Ahmad, Xerxes and Mount. And you've got Mainu and you've got Casemiro. And you could buy Richard Rios as well. So with Bruno's 100 million, we could have bought a goalkeeper and Richard Rios. We're already going to get Mbeumo, a striker, and Cunha. So we could have bought Rios and a goalkeeper and somebody else for Bruno. I'd have done it. Probably in the minority, I would have done it. So on that one, I agree with you, Robert. I think that call is one that I hope I'm not talking about next season, because if Onana's picking the ball out of his net because he's making mistakes again and the midfield's getting overrun, then I think that that's going to be something where some of us might go, this was what we were talking about. But I hope I'm wrong. I want Amorim to get it right. I want Bruno to be the best midfielder in the league. I want Onana to suddenly turn into a goalkeeper instead of a volleyball player. Sports and Leaks says, like it's up to you. Yeah, Sports and Leaks, just a little bit of an IQ test. This is YouTube. This is a fan community. We talk about hypotheticals. I'm not Manchester United manager. I'm not the CEO, and I can't make the decision there. Which is why I said, if it was me, I would have done it. But it's a hypothetical, which actually means it's what I would have done in a world that doesn't exist if I had been Manchester United manager. And sometimes when you go out with friends, like down the pub or for a drink at a coffee shop, you might have conversations about things that haven't happened that you would like to happen or could happen, or if that had happened, would this have happened? These sort of conversations go on all around the world at all the time. So, yeah, that wasn't like I'm not in charge. I'm not about to sell Bruno. I was just saying Ruben Amorim's in charge, and I support Ruben Amorim, and I hope he's going to be right on the decision he made with Bruno. But personally, I'd have took the 100 million because it was ridiculous money, and I'd have bought Richard Rios and a goalkeeper and a striker. So that's just to calm you down a bit, because it feels to me like you were getting a bit aggy. Hi, Mark. Keep it up, mate. Keep smashing it, says Liam. Thank you very much for tuning in, of course. I thought keeping Bruno might be one of those decisions that cost Amorim's job. I was very discouraged by Amorim asking him to stay, says Shahin. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. You know, I was asked about this, funnily enough, the other day. Somebody said, you know, you were quite adamant that we should sell Bruno. And I said, yeah, but in every single video, I was never disrespectful to Amorim or Bruno. I always said Bruno's one of my favourite players. He is Man United's best player. It was just an opportunity. It was just a chance to reset and rebuild. I like Bruno. I want Amorim to do well. And I'm also very, very happy that the club have backed him, because if they'd sold him, you're going to be left with a manager that's disillusioned and fed up. So although I don't agree with it, I'd took the money. I think, look, I ain't got a problem with people who want to keep him. We're not arguing. We're not being abusive. We're not falling out. It was, and still is, a huge call. Little reminder, Al-Hilal offered us about £100 million for a 31-year-old, and we could have built a half a team off it. I think it split the fan base. And some people are happy, and some people would have sold him. And that's fine. But the manager wanted to keep him. And I'm okay with that, because I want a manager that makes the calls. So when they get sacked because they got it wrong. And when they win the title, they win the title because they got it right. We've not done this for ages. This is what we need to do. Absolutely. Jackie Boy says, Steve McManaman, Phil Neville, Martin Keown are bad. I'd tell you, what's happened to Phil Neville? I was watching something the other night, and he was the England women's manager. And I was like, oh, I forgot that. Then he was at Inter Miami. What's he doing now? And don't say he's cutting Gary's garden. That's demeaning. I don't know what Phil Neville does now. I really don't know. I thought I've done that one from Shahin. Liam Hall, thank you very much. Stephen Barnum says, evening, I actually think the Drab 5 think the Drab 5, I love it, classic. I actually think the Drab 5 think the fans are with them. No problems with Anthony, he's done things right, says Stephen. Mate, if you look at, okay, I will do this for you just as an example, and this is just the way it is, right? Okay, just in case you did think everybody was with Amorim. So Marcus Rashford's tweet, Ferguson Way, King, about Rashford, and Rashford replies with a heart. United agenda, the club let you down constantly, not the other way round. I've been in the stadium 20 times when you've scored the winner and filled me with elation. We don't stand with the rest of the Muppets who hound you in articles. You've done amazing and helped so many. Love, bro. United Scout, we love you, King. Everyday MUFC 2, getting genuinely gutting this, how it ends. United, Largo says, keep your head down and focus. You got this, bruv. Rashford replies with 100%. Keep grafting, mate, says United Joshua. AJ Analysis with a heart. To be fair, the Czech lad says we finally upgraded with a picture of Cunha. So look, there's plenty of look. You say there's plenty of support for these players. Whether it's Player FC or not, there's still people who value these players. So that's just an education piece. There are people out there that when Rashford tweets or Garnacho tweets, they're in there, love you, bro, and all this sort of stuff. Which is actually incredible when you think about performances on the pitch and behaviour off the pitch. But everybody is entitled to their opinions, of course. And as we've said before, some people are so in love with these players in a role model way, not in a sex way. Well, some of them might be in a sex way. I don't know. Not in a sex way. I mean, like in a like they're in love with them. You know, they'd like to go for a movie. It's a role model thing. That's what Player FC is, and I think that there are people out there who are United fans who still massively back Garnacho, Rashford, even Sancho. I think if Sancho put a post out, there'd be United accounts that, you know, would be like, oh, yeah, you know. At the end of the day, as long as they leave, it's best for them and it's best for the club. And there's clearly a problem between them and the club. Z3 Music Official says, it is at your peril, sir, that you besmirch the name of NBC Sports and their pundits. I don't even know who the NBC Sports are. Andy Gray and Michael Owen are on mine, says Jackie Boy. Ferdinand's on mine, says Jacob. Thank you very much. People are doing their Mount Rushmore of crap pundits. Well, I'm very pleased that I'm not on there. And to be fair, no YouTubers, which if I was doing that, God, that'd be trouble. Can't remember there was that point a couple of months ago where everybody was ranking football YouTube, and virtually every single one of them didn't even put the United stand in it, which was just... I like that, though. I like that, because that is when they ignore you or they try and put you in the low thing, you know you're winning. I think that's a real positive thing. I mean, to be honest with you, in fairness to you lot and the United Stand community, I can't be arsed with any of this, you know, beef or anything like that. The truth is, virtually every YouTube football content is either from people who used to be part of the United Stand, or people who've copied the United Stand, or people who are heavily influenced by the United Stand, whether it's schedules, what types of shows they do, how the visuals look, how the thumbnails look. They used to work with us, and that is something to be massively proud of. Whether they deny that or not, it's up to them. I'm not getting into that. What I'm saying is the influence that the United Stand and That's Football has had on this space is undeniable, and that's down to you. Of course it is. You're the original community, so I think it's a real positive. I think there was a time a few years ago where it used to probably irritate me when I was inexperienced, but now I look back on it and I look at it and I go, it's almost like an academy, isn't it? We're the best footballing YouTube academy out there. There are so many people. You can just go, I look at stuff and I go, that's literally our graphics. I look at a thumbnail and go, that's literally our design. I look at a show that's on at a certain time and I go, that's literally trying to copy what we do. And I just go, you know, is that's great. That's great in a way, because a lot of them make out they don't like us, and maybe they don't, but you can't deny that you're influenced by it. Great. If you're trying to do it in a different way, well done. Love it. But very proud not to be on the Mount Rushmore of worst TV pundits, because I'm not a pundit. We're just a community. Thanks for all the news this week, Mark, says Shady. Hey, thank you to all of you lot. We've got through that week. I always look forward to the Sunday morning show, because we get different news on a Sunday morning, because it's traditionally Sunday morning newspapers in the UK are different to the ones in the week. So, for example, the Sun would be out Monday to Saturday, and then Sunday's News of the World. I think the Mirror Monday to Saturday, and then the Sunday paper was the People, the Sunday Times. So there's journalists that just work for the Sunday papers. So you get different stories coming out. So that'll be nice tomorrow morning. But it's been a challenging week. It has been a challenging week because United have made it challenging. But statistically, things should start picking up from next week because everybody's back at work. I know a couple of people that at United that we've had stuff from are properly back next week. So we hopefully will start picking up some stuff there. But also, in general, Amorim's back. The players are back, and it feels like our recruitment team have been on holiday as well, doesn't it? So hopefully they'll start getting moving as well. But I don't want to be buying Plan E, F, G, and everyone else like that. Somebody said, Seb said to me the other day, can we watch the BFG? And I said we can do, but it sounds like Man United's recruitment policy. And he went, I don't know what you mean, and I just laughed. Plan B, Plan F, and Plan G. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you on the next one. I don't even know what I just forgot. I was actually going to end it there because I always do a little bit at the end, and I don't actually know what to do at the end now because I haven't actually. I've been had a really busy day today. I've done a watch along, 3 shows on the United Stand. Been doing a bit of housework as well. Quite exhausted from a tiring week, and my brain is just about ready to... I'll tell you what, I will tell you. Oh my God, right? I've had a good week this week. You might have noticed on my Twitter account, I've been tweeting at about 7:10 because I've been getting up at 6:30 every day. I mean, Gary Neville would call that a lie-in. Gary Neville... I've read... Look, you shouldn't talk about people's wives, and it's not going to go anywhere bad. I've never met Gary Neville's wife, but I did listen to her podcast that she did, or maybe she was on the overlap. I saw something anyway, and she was basically saying that one of the things she had to get used to when she married Gary Neville was the early nights, because apparently he's in bed asleep by 9:30, and I think that's okay for a couple of nights, but imagine that being your life every night. I mean, you're probably going to bed. I'd be going to bed before my kids. Night. Should be the other way around. So she was sort of talking about that because I think he gets up at 4:30. I bet it's brilliant, and I bet some of you get up at 4:30. As Mark Wahlberg, I think he does the same. Maybe Gary Neville wants to be Mark Wahlberg, but he does the same. I think he goes to bed at about 9 o'clock, gets up at 3 o'clock, and does like a workout and eats chicken and stuff like that. Like, I wouldn't enjoy that. I've got to say, life's for living. Like, you only get one shot at this, and you don't know how long you've got, as we've seen some tragic stories this week. So I ain't going to bed at 9 o'clock at night so I can get up at 3 o'clock and do bloody gym or emails. And gym means go down the gym. I'm not getting up at 3 o'clock and shagging someone called Jim. Which is worrying because I actually have got a friend called Jim. I'm definitely not like that, Jim, for the trip we've got away. Anyway. So yeah, Gary Neville's in bed now, really. He's winding down, he's brushing his teeth. But my point is, this week, I've been getting up at like 6:30, which is not massively earlier than I used to get up. But when I say I'm getting up at 6:30, I'm out the bed, I'm brushing my teeth, and I'm in front of the computer, and I'm, setting myself up for the day, or I'm taking the dog a walk or anything like that. So I've been doing it all week, and I've noticed that I used to stay up until like midnight watching stuff, and I'm like 10:30 dropping off. The worst thing about this is, and it's never happened to me, is it's Saturday this morning. I have had a Saturday before, that's not what I'm talking about. But I wake up this morning at 6:30 and I go, no. This is not the day where your body clock kicks in. All week, my alarm has had to get me up at 6:30. Saturday, there is no alarm and it wakes me up. I'm out of the bed at 6:45 this morning on a Saturday, and I'm dreading tomorrow morning because you can't be getting up at 6:45 on a Sunday. That's good dream time. That's the time where you wake up at 7, you go, I haven't got to get up, and you do that half awake, half asleep. That's my best dreams. The goals I've scored on a Sunday morning between 7 and 8 where I have that little lie-in, it's incredible. And they're the only dreams I can tell you because I'm a married man and I'd get in big trouble. But and Jim's not in them. But I've just got this bad feeling tomorrow I'm going to wake up and my body's going to go, time to get up. And I'm going to go, what am I going to do? Like when I was a kid, like my grandparents, when you used to stay there at a weekend, they'd be up at like 6 o'clock. And I'd get up at like 6:30 to watch children's programmes, because you do get up then. And they'd just look depressed. They had a coffee in front of them, smoking a cigarette at 6:30 in the morning, watching bloody TVAM. Old people don't want to get up early. Their body makes them get up early. So I don't want to turn into this. It's bloody boring. I want to. I'm hoping tomorrow I'm just going to sleep in, but yeah, I don't know. Emily Derry managed to lie in until 9:30 this morning. That's because you had a busy night with Robert last night, innit? I don't mean like that. I meant like, you probably tired yourself out arguing with Robert back and forth on the live chat. Sorry, Emily, that sounded appropriate. That's the second time in 2 nights. She said said you were pregnant last night. Yeah, okay. Jackie Boy says, you're on my list of worst YouTubers. I'm kidding. Love what you do. Don't call me a prat. It's absolutely fine, Jackie. We're not for everybody. Has Margot Robbie ever been in a dream of yours? I'm not saying this because my wife might watch it. I've never had a dream about Margot Robbie. I wonder if she's had a dream about me. Either or. No, I've never. She's never been in a dream. I find with dreams, if you try, if you wish, you know, when I was a kid, I used to like wish, you know, before I went, not wish. I don't do bloody wishes. Genie in a bottle. I meant like, I used to think if you think about it before you go to sleep, you'll have a dream about it. But dreams are weird. You probably do have a dream about it, but you only remember the dreams when you're starting to wake up. So you probably have loads of dreams that you don't even know. You know, tonight, you literally could get shagged by a big bull, like a cow, and you won't even know about it. And thank God. But you won't know about it because it was when you were in your deep sleep. You won't remember it. You remember the dreams when you're in your light sleep. But no, I've never had a dream with her in it. I've had a few with Kylie in it. I used to have loads of dreams about her when I was a kid. To be fair, she'd be locked up. But she was all, no, I would have been about 9. She was probably about 17. Yeah, we was probably only holding hands. You'd be fine with that. Anyway, I think I'll leave it there. Because I'll just jabber on. And there's people who watch this later and go, oh, I wanted to talk about football. Why is he talking about dreams and getting up early and Kylie Minogue? Well, where's the news? Oh, God, United stands fell off. Princess Leia, well, I'd be lying. You know, one of my mates said this to me once, and I'll leave you with this because it's unfair. He said, we're talking about Princess Leia. Now, obviously, everybody fancied Princess Leia when they were at school, especially Return of the Jedi. Anyway, obviously, Carrie Fisher didn't look like that towards the end. When she was in The Force Awakens, she looked more like your gran. And after a couple of drinks down the pub, we were talking about people we used to fancy when we were younger. And Kylie Minogue came up and people were like, wow, she's still very, very attractive. And somebody said Princess Leia. And my mate said, I still would. And we were like, she didn't look anything like she did then. And he said, yeah, I know, but you don't look at the mantelpiece when you're stoking the fire. And the satisfaction would be, no matter what she looks like now, it was her from then. Which I suppose, in a way, technically, is true. Just because they don't look the same and the body proportions are different. And I just want to say, she was still alive then, by the way. He wasn't talking about necrophilia. His logic was, it's still that person who wore the bikini, just 40 years later. There we go. Anyway, I better go because Lion says you're boring. Thank you, pal. You're watching on a Saturday night at 9:15. Thank you very much for watching, by the way, Lion. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Absolute legends. I shall speak to you very soon. We're back tomorrow morning. Rest in peace, Carrie Fisher, as well. Absolute legend. Yes, I agree with that. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Thank you very much for watching. Speak to you in a bit. I've got to go and watch this film.